What's up, people? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Martin over here. If you still don't know, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon, as I always tell you, to get notifications about new videos for life in Germany, as well as the upcoming videos I've planned. If you want to know what they are going to be, you can check out the video I've posted recently about the future of this channel. Today I'll be sharing with you 7 tips about driving in Germany. So, Germany in general, when it comes to terms of driving, is a totally different experience than any other country in the world. And since it's located here in the middle of Europe, it gets a lot of foreign traffic, whether it's from people that moved to Germany or just passing through Germany. And this sometimes makes for some chaotic stuff on the roads, or may lead to some unwanted fines, which are not that low. Today, this is what I'm going to talk about: how to drive in Germany without causing any mayhem and getting fined. So let's get started with number 1 on the tip list. Is take your time and learn the signs and rules in Germany. They're available online in English, and I'll make sure to include a link in the description so you can follow them. One of the biggest problems here is that there are a lot of signs that include text that's fully in German, and as we all know, German words are huge, so the text is quite small, and you need to be familiar with those signs in order to recognize them quickly when driving. Most of those signs are related to parking areas and may or may not affect the fact that you get a parking ticket, but there are some which are on the highways, on the electronic signs they have on the highways, which constantly change, warning you about some roadworks or traffic jams or stuff like that. And you can see some of them. I'll include some photos over here while I'm talking, so you can get a feel what I'm talking about regarding those signs. But definitely make sure to learn them if you know you're going to pass through Germany, or you're going to move to Germany and you will be required to drive on a daily basis. So number 2 is traffic cameras. In Germany, you do have the normal ones, which are speed cameras, and you do have the other version, which are distance cameras. This is very popular around here, and they pop up randomly on the highway, especially due to the fact that people are driving at high speeds. Distance is very important, so you can stop without causing any problems when there is something hazardous on the road. And the rule of thumb here is that you need your speed divided by 2, and that's the distance in meters, really important in meters, that you need to keep from the car in front of you. When it comes to the fines you might get from this, they're quite big. They might even lead some, depending on how close you're to the front car and how fast you're driving, to you losing some privileges for driving for a month, for example. I did hear that they don't take into consideration if you get cut by another driver. So that's another tip. Don't be that driver that cuts other people, because you might make life really hard for them at some point. Also, one thing about the speed cameras here, they're not easily distinguished when they're mobile cameras. Usually they are inside this Volkswagen vans with dark windows, so you cannot see that there is a camera inside, and you see it only after the flash of the camera went on. But to be honest, I actually got 2 speeding tickets, and I remember only one of them noticing the flash, so the other one I didn't even notice the flash. Most of those are usually either on city roads that have 30 limit, which are usually in residential areas or near schools, so make sure to follow those 30 limits, as much as they are pain in the. But on the other situation you might get, those cameras are usually on roads between towns that are not Autobahn, and then it's pretty noticeable if you have a car stopped on the side. Also, a lot of Germans tend to drive like 10 kilometers underneath the speed limit when they think there is a camera in the area. As well, it's also, as far as I know, legal to point out the location of these cameras. So on the radio they constantly give updates where they have cameras. As well, there is an app called Blitzer, and they show locations of every single camera. The app also warns you like a kilometer away that there is a camera. Number 3 is to be self-aware. Here in Germany, it's forbidden to honk or flash your headlights at someone, since this is considered like causing stress for the other drivers. So, for example, you're at the traffic light turns green, but you're daydreaming or something. No one will honk at you to start driving, or at least they'll wait like 3 minutes or something like that in smaller cities, and in bigger ones like minute and a half. But basically by that time the green light has already passed, and it's annoying for everyone. So make sure to be self-aware and don't wait for other people to tell you when you're doing something wrong. Number 4 is to remember that your car isn't as fast as you think. One thing I learned here in Germany, there is always someone faster than you. It's a big country, there are a lot of people that can afford like really fast cars. And I'll give you an example here. I was driving on the Autobahn with 240, and out of nowhere this Ferrari popped up that was going faster than me, and I had to make room for it. So remember to follow the German rule. When a right lane is free, take that one. Never stick to the left one for a long time. It's only for overtaking. Almost only applicable to the Autobahns, because there you don't have any speed limits. But yeah, definitely I've seen a lot of drivers from other countries that come here to Germany just to like have fun on the Autobahns, test their cars, drive them as fast as possible. But keeping in mind that in other countries the speed limit is usually 120, 130, even lower than 120. People think that by driving 170 or 80 that's fast, but it's actually not that fast, and there would be always someone popping up with 220 when there is no speed limit and above, and it would be good if they have room to pass, because sometimes there is just not enough time to react. Number 5 is to always have a navigation with live traffic information in your car, especially when you're traveling on the Autobahn. This is because of the huge traffic jams that usually happen. There is a tendency for those traffic jams to happen near towns or cities, but in general there might be an accident, and this causes usually a huge traffic jam. And if you have such a navigation, you would get the notification before you reach it. Also might get an offer for a rerouting or a detour that will save you hours. I've personally been stuck in for hours in traffic jams on the Autobahn, which is terrible. For example, I come home from work on the Autobahn, and usually it takes like 10 minutes to come home. One time there was this huge traffic jam, and the same distance I usually drive for 10 minutes, I had to drive for an hour and a half. Number 6 is to remember that the no speed limit that Germans are famous for isn't everywhere. Make sure to follow the rules whenever there is a speed limit, whether it's on the Autobahn, inner cities or whatever. Usually most places it really makes sense for the speed limit, especially on Autobahns. If you have 120, make sure to follow it, because that means there are either constructions up ahead, traffic congestions, or like there's really heavy traffic around the corner and you cannot see. There are cameras and people sitting behind them, looking constantly what are the traffic situations, and update the traffic regulations on these changeable traffic signs. So make sure to follow them. I've seen a lot of foreigners, like we have 120 limit because of heavy traffic, for example, and they still continue to drive 150, 160, which is not that okay. I know it might seem weird to be on an open Autobahn with driving 120 and there are like 2 lanes free and you can drive fast. But trust me, there is a reason for that limit, and most likely you will see it in the upcoming kilometer or 2. And this reminds me of one such case. There was a 100 limit, and all of the cars were just in 1 lane. There were 2 free entirely lanes on the Autobahn, and out of nowhere you get this 3 blocked lanes with stopped traffic. There was an accident like 5 kilometers up the highway, and it came out of nowhere. It was just around the turn and cars were completely stopped, so it was hard braking from 100, let alone if you're driving more than 100. This might cause for a chain car crash, which is definitely not good. Number 7 is the ramps when getting off of Autobahns. There are different types of ramps. They're not only the 4-leaf clover ramps. And one thing I noticed, on some occasions they do not put traffic signs there, like with the speed limit. And for example, you would expect it to be like, let's say 50, which is the normal speed limit for a inner city road. And the situation we're trying to describe is one where you're getting off the highway to go into a city. But for example, here on the entrance of Nuremberg, near where I live on the Autobahn, the speed limit is actually 100, and you can take the turn comfortably driving with 100 kilometers per hour. But in other situations there are no traffic signs, and you need to go as low as 30 in order to make the turn. You almost never know how sharp is the turn if you're going there for the first time. So make sure to drive a little bit slower, because you might be surprised at how sharp you have to turn, and you might not have the time to stop. I've seen a lot of people just driving off the road in the middle of the field. And it's a pain, because then you have to call some help to pull you out of there, and the expenses to cover like some broken fences are quite big as well. And I know I said 7, but since the next one is not applicable to everyone, I will consider this just a bonus. This is for people driving campers or trucks. Usually you have like separate speed limits for them, like 80, 90, 100 kilometers per hour. And one of the problems with such vehicles is that they usually overtake with really small difference in the speed. Let's say there is a truck driving 80 and another truck taking over with 90. Unless the Autobahn has 3 lanes, this is a high-risk overtake, especially when you don't have speed limits. I had such a case recently. I was driving with another driver. We were going like nearly 200, and just around the corner there was this truck overtaking another one. I would say the difference was, as I described, like one was driving 80, one was driving 90. We really needed to brake hard in order to avoid a car accident. Even if there are no cars, you never know how quick someone will catch up. So unless there are 3 lanes, make sure to avoid such overtakes as much as possible. So make sure to avoid such overtakes as much as possible in order to avoid getting hit from the back. So yeah, I think that's it for today with the tips for driving in Germany. I hope this was informative for you and will help you have a nice and pleasant drive through Germany. Let me know if I missed something important, and if you think it's worth mentioning, leave a comment down below. And as always, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and I would love to hear any thoughts on my videos from you guys. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and see you on my other videos. Bye.